Okay, so let's talk about the speech of personal significance, which we have here. It's 75 points, so it's a pretty significant assignment. So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to, for 4 to 5 minutes, talk about something that is someone or something that is important to you that changed your life. And you're going to give me two details about how it changed your life and then stories to support that, right? So like an like how we structure an argument, we make an initial claim and then we offer some supporting evidence. And so you have 2 body points, basically 2 reasons why that's so significant to you. And so you can do, I have 4 to 500 words because again, we speak about 100 words a minute. And so you can pick someone or something. I have had students who talked about losing 100 pounds before. I have had students who have like witnessed murders before, like that was wild. I've had students dedicated to Hannah Montana. I have had students dedicated to their mom or dad. That's the most common one if you're going to go with that. I've had students dedicated to their significant other. I had a student that got broken up with right before their speech. That was bad. That was a rough time. She was like, "I can't give this speech without crying." And I was like, "No, that's fair. You could redo your speech." Um yeah, examples of other body points, right? It could be who, I could talk about like going to the speech and debate tournaments. I could talk about meeting my significant other. I could talk about how I stopped drinking for a very long time. I was sober for about 2 years, drinking wise. I drink like socially, but for a very long time I drank too much. Um, and so it's just different ways in which like what has significance to you. It's up to you. Basically, you're going to follow that traditional speech structure. You're going to have an attention getter, a relevant statement, a thesis statement, a credibility statement, a preview statement, your 2 main body points, and then which are the two reasons, right? So if I said my mom is so significant to me, that's my thesis. I'm going to say she's significant because she worked really hard and she helped me support me becoming who I am. And then if I talk about how she worked really hard, I'm going to give a story or two about how hard she works, right? If I talk about how she supports who I am, I'm going to give a story or two about how she, supported me X, Y, and Z, right? She really wanted me to become an actor for a while, and so I really liked theater, and if I had a show, she would go to that show, and that was really supportive. And when I did stand up comedy, she showed up and showed me stand up comedy. She supported me through my stand up career, and so I really appreciated her. Right, that's an example of a story where I could talk about how I told my mom how I was like, hey, you can come to my stand-up show, but don't sit in the front row because it'll throw me off. And then she literally, like, I immediately walked out and she was sitting in the corner of the front row. And I was like, I caught you. But it turned out to be really nice because it ended up easing a lot of my anxiety because it was the biggest show I had done ever. It was like 500 people. Right. So you just talk about who or what is the most significant to you, and then 2 reasons. Another example of that student who talked about losing a bunch of weight, he talked about how it helped him get a girlfriend because he lost a bunch of weight and he was more confident. And also he talked about how the community of the gym really helped change his lifestyle around, right? That's 2 reasons, right? And then he gave examples of both of them. Right, and so it's just a full sentence outline. You talk every single sentence you talk out. Submit the outline. I give you feedback for it. Ideally, submit it before so I have time to give you feedback. Don't just submit it and then do it. You're allowed to use visual aids if you want. If you want to like show a picture on your phone or something, that's fine. You could talk about your favorite book. You could talk about your favorite musical artist. I had a student last semester who dedicated their speech to Kanye and then very much regretted it a few months later, which was very funny for me, but very unfortunate for that student who literally gave like 2 speeches about how much they liked Kanye. And I was like, that's rough. And they're like, can you? I'll not talk about that too much. A job you've had, maybe a job has changed your life. Maybe, a family tradition you carry on, an important sporting event. Make sure your stories are specific. Oh, it should say 75 points there. Sorry about that. I'll check. I'll change that before. 4 to 5 minutes. There's a description again. There's an outline sample. So if you want to look at a sample, just click on the outline sample and you can see exactly what I want your outlines to look like. Okay, so you should not have any guesswork, right? So this is a story about how I met my girlfriend, and I dedicate this speech to my girlfriend, and I give you an example. So this is me doing it, but obviously, I type in full sentences. I have clear spots. If you want to, what does a credibility statement look like? I know she is one of the most significant people because I've seen her influences firsthand, right? That counts as a credibility statement. That explains why I'm credible to talk about her significance in my life. I talk about how my thesis, my girlfriend is the most significant. The 2 reasons is she makes my life happier and she makes me a better person. Okay? And then I talk about examples of how she, makes me happy and examples of how she pushes me to be a better person, right? And that's basically it. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. But yeah, good luck.